Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. All right. I'm just reading this so I don't have to do it once we start. Okay. We finally got some good rain, so that's good.
Good.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I saw some people posting, some of my friends in California, that there was rain, but I wasn't sure where, like if it was everywhere or.
Yeah. I think it was pretty much because I know my daughter lives up in Pismo Beach, and she said they got a lot of rain up there too. So it's not just down here.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. So it's just so funny to listen to the news though, because they're like, storm watch 2018. It's like, oh my gosh, it's just rain. You would think that we had like blizzard conditions.
Oh my God, that always cracks me up. It really cracks me up now living here because it like literally rains like once a week here. So it would be like storm watch every day here if they did it like that. But I remember that. It's like storm watch 2018. I know.
I know they're so like dramatic about it, like the world's coming to an end because we have some rain.
Oh
They're
my
like showing
gosh.
little puddles in the street. It's just so funny. And I think about like the kind of weather we had in Oregon. Half the time the kids went to school even when we got snow. Because we would get so much there. We would never have school if they closed it every time we got snow. So it's just funny. We get a little rain here and everybody's like, oh my goodness, how are we going to get?
I know.
It's like, oh, brother.
So funny.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Ready? Small, end, found, both, eyed, word, someone, same, enough, began, run, bit, sigh, each, those, almost, against, everything, most, think, wouldn't, mom, better, play, I've, own, every, hard, remember, 3, stood, live, stand, second, sorry, keep, gave, point, finally, already, actually, probably, everyone, big, himself, guess, lot, step, hey, here, light, quickly, dad, kiss, black, pick, else, soon, shoulder, table. All right, let's do some common phrases. I would say, marked for identification, if he believed, if he believes, if he can, if he could, if he feels, if he felt, if he recalls, if he recollects, if he remembers, if he should, if he wanted, if he wants, if he was, if I believe, if I believed, if I can, if I could, if I feel, if I felt, if I recall, if I recollect, if I want, if I wanted. All right, let's do some names and addresses. Ms. Karen A. Simon, Simon, Culinary Institute of America, Hyde Park, New York, 12538. Ms. Sandy B. Mauk, Mauck, Rust-Oleum Corporation, 11 Hawthorne Parkway, Vernon Hills, Illinois, 60061. Barbara J. Kuchler, Kuchler, El Paso School District, 4931 Hercules Avenue, El Paso, Texas, 79804. Mr. Keith E. McCoy, MCCOY, Atlantic Research Corporation, 7510 Wellington Road, Gainesville, Virginia, 22065. Mrs. Annette W. Rebovich, Rebovich, Fountainhead Apartments, 295 Turnpike Road, Westboro, Massachusetts 01581. Andy N. Morales, Morales, 701 North Brand Boulevard, Glendale, California 91203. Clarissa L. Ashley, Ashley, 529 Southeast Date Street, number 3, College Place, Washington 99324. Lee Ann Pfaff, PFAFF, United National Bank, P.O. Box 1348, 9th and Phillips Street, Mill Falls, South Dakota 57101. Miss Pamela P. Overton, Overton, Energy Department Development 1 Space Park, Redondo Beach, California 90278. All right. Let's see here. This is my jury instructions. Hold on 1 second. I put so many little tabs on all of these. Okay, here it is. All right, so these are going to be sentences with numbers. Here we go. Please read count 2 of the indictment. Did you refer to column or volume 23 in section 2? Does page 11 of the index list the book titles? The copyright date read 1/1976. The intermission is between acts 4 and 5 of the play. If you remember correctly, the year of publication was 2010. The librarian discovered that volume 25 was missing from the set. Mr. Daly removed page 2 from the set of documents. Is the number 49 greater than 51? Please number the sections of the outline 1 through 17. Are you familiar with Article 61 and Exhibit 100? Was page 19 included in the preface of the manuscript? Do you plan to pass this legislation before the year 2020? Does that say 50 or 60? Please refer to chapter 112. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and I've got some words and then sentences using or, and the prefix and suffix or. Okay, so here are your words first. Or not, motor, silver or this, organic, ordeal, or you, actor, copper or that, lessor, orchard, ordain, or the, donor, metal or some, horror, orchard, orchid. Here are your sentences. You will sink or swim. Is the motor running? Shall we walk or ride? He is in an incubator. The orchard was sold. Who is the instigator? She plays the organ. He was a great orator. It's still in orbit. The accelerator stuck. It is snow or sleet. Fix the respirator. Use lemon or orange flavor. I saw a horror film. Robert is an orphan. She reigned in splendor. Nevada mines silver ore. Use red or pink or orange. You must fish or cut bait. They mine iron ore here. Burn in the incinerator. It is a spectator sport. Grow organic vegetables. The Red Cross needs donors. Was it 5 or 10 years? That's not the main factor. Mrs. Wolf raises orchids. Who directs the orchestra? The trial was an ordeal. The traitor was convicted. The actor took a bow. What is the origin? By the refrigerator. It is this or that. Use the percolator. Send an investigator. Was it Danny or Jim? Her dress is organdy. Go before a mediator. Try heat or pressure. Hire Jones or Blake. All right. This will be our last one before we move on to this other drill that I have, but it's a Q&A drill, and it's the descriptions drill. It's been a while since I've given that. That's one of my favorites. So let's finish this up, and then we'll go on to that one. Let me just date this. Okay, here we go. Will not, than I, the not, do not any, than we, have not, than he, this not, could not us, than she, has not, than you, that not, would not this, than our. So obviously you're going to hear not, than, and then KNOT, do not, could not, would not. Okay, here we go. Scott could not go. Untie the knot. That is not true. She would not cooperate. It was more than a bump. He was fairer than most. Do not try my patience. I know not what I do. He is taller than I. Are you not qualified? I cannot tell a lie. Did you not the rope? He could not be heard. Are you not convinced? The judge has not ruled. Better you than me. If not, why not? Use a square knot. The wall is knotty pine. It is better than that. Was it not so? They would not testify. He would not guess. You should not argue. I would not argue. That was not correct. Was it more than $500? Could you not ask why? Do not leave, counsel. I was closer than that. The thread is knotted. It was faster than that. It would not apply now. Could it not wait? He would not leave. We cannot hear you. It was later than that. Do not make the motion. It is better than ours. That would not matter. It's a knotty problem. You would not qualify. It isn't relevant. Who cut the knot? Do not speak yet. All right. Oh, yes.
Do you phrase would not?
Would not because of one you're talking about? Well, yes, I do, but then you either have to, flag would not or one. You know what I mean? It's kind of like dot. If you phrase do the, it conflicts with dot. So I write do the as DOT and then I flag dot because dot comes up less often. So I phrase would not and then I flag WON. But some people do the opposite. Some people flag the would not and then just write one as WON. So
I was just curious because I feel like in my practice, they actually kind of come up kind of a similar amount of times. And I just always separate my would not. I never do it. I do would not. And I've learned to do it that way. But sometimes if I'm going fast, I'll hit one, WON. So I just wasn't sure what I should do to handle that. I was wondering what you do. So
I phrase would not because would not to me comes up a lot more than like they won the race.
yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
You know what else is weird is in theory we teach could is, KD, but then remember how we said, well, you could do KO. So then you can, if you write could as KO, you can phrase could not, KON, So
Yeah.
that's what I do. Even though I don't know why the book teaches it as KO when would is, or I'm sorry, KD. When would is WO, you would think that could would be KO.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I didn't do it KO. I've always done it KD because that's how I started doing it.
Yep.
So
I learned it too. But then it was like, oh, but wait, if I write it as KO, then I can phrase could not, KON. So that's
and then
another.
And then just flag con, I guess, if
Yep.
that were to come
Flag
up.
con. Yep. Like he's a con man. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I'll have to make a decision on what to
Yep.
do.
Just
I
make
don't
a
know.
decision and then just stick to it so that you don't get confused.
Yeah, because I mean, I phrase like do not, and
Yeah.
I flag, I would flag dawn if it ever
Yeah.
came up, but
Right. DON.
I just somehow know don't put W, O, and N together if I mean would not, but it would just be nice because it does come up quite a
Yeah.
bit. So I might do what you do and wait a minute. You flag which one now? You flag the
I
phrase or the word one?
I flag the word WON
Oh, okay.
and then I just phrase would not. And then could not, I just do KON. I drop the KD that, we learned in theory. Somebody told me that once and it was like, oh, okay. And it made sense.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. There's another one too that I always have to, I can't phrase. If you notice, if you can is like the F word. So
Oh,
you can phrase if you and then come back for can, or if and then you can. But then I have a friend.
I
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I flag all bad words
You
because I
do?
figure like in my mind I don't want to accidentally hit that, like, so I add the flag to make sure I really meant to write it that way. That's like my thinking on it.
That's
So
a good.
I phrase if you can, and I flag the bad word.
See, and my friend does the same thing. She flags FU, K, and then she phrases if you can.
Yeah, I do
So
it too.
it's smart. I've only had, I think it was one time where this guy, he said the F word every other word. He was a Hell's Angel, and it was so bad. It was like that was part of his vocabulary. He didn't know how to take it out. So even when he wasn't mad, he was talking like that. It's just
Yeah.
so, yeah. All right. So we'll go ahead
All
and do
right.
this descriptions of people.
Okay.
All right, here we go. And it's Q&A format. I'll read this at 200, okay? Because it is kind of, just because it's describing. All right, here we go. What did the first suspect look like? He was tall with flabby arms, unkempt blonde hair, about 5'11", in his early 40s, and was the nasty, mean one. What did the second suspect look like? He was a middle-aged man that was overweight, dark complexion with brown eyes and a green dragon tattoo on his upper arm, and was the nervous, quiet one. He had a receding hairline that looked like he was going bald in the back and going gray. What did the third suspect look like? The female was 30-something, skinny with spotty skin, plain clothing. She had on a red shirt, black pants, and white shoes. She was the loud, chatty one in the bunch. She had black shoulder-length hair and was rather polite, or petite. What about the girl that was with her? That girl that was with her had long, wavy brown hair, pale skin, above average height. Clothing was untidy, wearing a stained pink and white shirt with light gray knee-length pants with silver sandals. She had a striped bow in her hair with gold hooped earrings. How about the person that they robbed? What did he look like? The male was clean shaven with short, spiky red hair, freckles, a thick mustache, average height with fair skin. He had on a blue shirt with bluish gray jacket over that. His shirt or shorts were checkered and wore white socks. He had a purple ball cap on that said Lakers on it. He seemed to be a nice, cooperative guy who was trying to do what he was told. What about the female he was with? She had more of a stocky build, dark, coarse hair, short in height, yellow earrings, red bandana, good, clear complexion with a raspy voice. She was wearing thick-rimmed glasses and had on blue jeans with holes in the knees, along with a white sweatshirt that had multicolored polka dots on it and orange checkered shoes. All right. Let's go ahead and do some literary. This is on public utilities. All right. So I will read this. I'll start at 180 and work my way to 200 with this, okay? Okay, ready? Mr. President, I am introducing at this time a bill on behalf of myself and my colleagues, Joseph Medina and Alfred Valentine, to provide for the more consistent and equitable treatment of property owned by the public utilities. This bill also provides for the omission of a back tax liability assessed on public utilities. Congress provided the public utilities with an investment tax credit and an accelerated depreciation allowance. These tax incentives were established in order to encourage capital information by the utilities. Congress intended that the benefits that were derived from these tax incentives be used for plant and equipment modernization rather than passing the benefits directly to the consumers. In sharp contrast to the original intent of Congress, several state public utility commissions ordered the utility companies to pass this tax benefit directly to the consumers in the form of rate reductions. Additionally, the Internal Revenue Service ruled that the utilities be denied access to the investment credit and also to the accelerated depreciation. Several of the state public utilities have pursued this matter all the way to their own state Supreme Courts, but in all instances, the ruling has been against the public utilities. I believe it is important that Congress make clear its intent on this matter. My bill will clarify the Internal Revenue Code with respect to accelerated depreciation and exempt the public utilities from a back tax liability. Last year in Congress, legislation which is identical to this bill was passed in the House of Representatives. There was not one dissenting vote. This legislation will clearly correct all of these inequities. If there is no objection, I will urge my colleagues to respond and quickly evaluate the measure. I should have said dissenting, not dissenting. Sometimes I say things like, why did I say that? All right. Now we're going to do one more. It's called A Living Dream. And I'm going to read this at 200. And then depending on how it feels, I may go to 225, okay? All right, here we go. Mr. Speaker, for several years now, my hometown, the city of Santa Barbara, California, has been organizing and leading a campaign called A Living Dream. This campaign is aimed at encouraging and stimulating community service and pride in promoting the city's economic goals. Not surprising, the campaign is effective, exciting, and widely supported. On February 11, 2011, the citizens of Santa Barbara had the chance of a lifetime to show that actions do speak as loud as words. I am proud to report that citizens supporting a living dream were able to muster mass support and recognition when a potentially volatile situation developed. In a broad demonstration of community pride and unity, Santa Barbara was the scene of the dedication of the Ronald Reagan Library. During these dedication ceremonies, nearly 50 Vietnam veterans stormed on the assemblage, chanting anti-nuclear slogans, harassing the police officers, and attempting to cause total chaos and confusion. A great deal of credit goes to the chairperson of A Living Dream. Without so much as a wave of the hand, the dedication ceremonies were halted, and the chairperson approached the leader of the veterans and shook his hand and thanked him for coming to the dedication ceremonies. The chairperson encouraged the veterans to join in the truly worthwhile cause of working with their adversaries rather than against them. The veterans were invited to stay for the dedication ceremonies. As you can see, the city of Santa Barbara contains some truly enlightened community leaders, a highly professional police force, and a group of caring and reasonable citizens. By positive actions, a potentially explosive situation was avoided. The city of Santa Barbara reinforced the meaning of the right to peaceful assemblage and the right to free speech. Adversaries. All right, let's do some jury charge. All right. And this one, I will start at 200 and I'll work my way to 225. Okay. All right, here we go. I have read to you portions of the instructions as they pertain to you. I would like to define attempt for you at this time because it is the same definition as the crime of extortion, only the attempt is different. An attempt to commit a crime consists of two elements, namely a specific intent to commit the crime with specific intent to commit extortion, and a direct but ineffectual act done towards its commission. That's all you have to have. Now the instruction goes on, it is necessary to distinguish between mere preparation and the actual commencement of the doing of the criminal deed. Mere preparation, which may consist of planning the device or devising, obtaining or arranging the means for its commission. This is not sufficient to constitute an attempt. This would be like going and getting the weapons at Kirk Anton's house. The simple fact is getting those weapons. That is preparation and not attempting the crime of extortion. But acts of a person who intends to commit a crime will constitute an attempt where they themselves clearly indicate unambiguous intent to commit that specific crime and in themselves are an immediate step in the present execution of the criminal design, the progress of which would be completed unless interrupted by some circumstances not intended in the original design. Of course, what was not intended in this case would be the resistance by Mr. Freeman and resistance by Officer McCall. If you do believe that when they went across the park, they went over with the intention of committing an extortion, that the act of going across the park, that the act of putting their weapons out before they arrived at the car, these would be acts in furtherance of the attempt. In these crimes, you again have to show that the elements of extortion, along with the elements of attempt, what was sought was $50,000, which was held by Officer McCall and Ray Freeman. So you do have something of value. That was the first element of extortion. The money was to be taken from their immediate person or immediate possession. Again, they intended to force them to hand the money over so that the element is satisfied. The taking was to be with the specific intent through intimidation or even violence to permanently deprive the owner of the money. All right. We're going to do one more. Okay, this is jury charge. All right. I'm going to read this at 225, the whole thing. Okay. All right, here we go. I am going to offer a couple of things that we talked about during the jury selection and that are included in the court's charge. We talked about what an aggravated robbery is. I don't expect there to be a question about a robbery occurring on November 23rd, 2013. I don't expect there to be a question that it occurred in Dallas County, Texas. I don't expect there will be a question that two men did it. I don't expect there will be a question that they were wearing ski masks. I don't expect there will be a question that one of them had a gun, but very briefly, I want to go back over what we talked about, the robbery. You recall we talked about an aggravated robbery being an act of violence. It is not the stealing of something, getting away, but the act of violence associated with it. That's what your charge tells you, that robbery is in the course of committing a theft with an act of violence, a threat, in this case, placing another person in fear of imminent bodily injury or death. That is what makes this robbery from the jewelry store. The attempt to steal from the jewelry store, that is what makes it a robbery. The fact that a weapon was used in this case, as the people left the store, will include it in what is an aggravated robbery, okay? It is an immediate flight after the attempt that is still considered in the course of committing theft. You can't use a gun during the robbery. You can't use a gun when you're running away from the robbery. It's all the same thing. So you have a robbery in this case. The presence of a gun makes it aggravated robbery. Now, we also talked very briefly at the end of my remarks about the parties and how the people get going and perform an act, the combination of all the factors being the commission of this crime. I talked to you during the jury selection about how one may have a gun, the other may not have a gun. I talked about how one person could be sitting outside driving the getaway car while the other person goes in with a gun, robs the store, gets in the car. They're both guilty parties, and that's what your charge tells you here, that both people, all persons who are parties to an offense, are guilty of acting together in committing an offense. The facts that you have in this case indicate very definitely that two guys went into the store. They both participated in the robbery. They both had the ski mask on. They both wore the gloves. Both took turns doing things during the course of the robbery. So they both aided and abetted one another to commit the robbery. So therefore, each of the two guys were a party to the other in the commission of the offense. So each of them were guilty of the same offense. I ask you to read over the charge when you go back into the jury room and get an understanding for what it tells you. You may ask for the evidence to be brought back to you. Ladies and gentlemen, at the conclusion of this trial, I'm going to ask you to find the defendant guilty of aggravated robbery, but that's what the evidence in the case points to. May it please the court, Charles, counsel, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, first of all, I want to thank you for coming down here and being a part of the system, the jury system we have in America today. Something happened a couple of years ago. I had the opportunity to take a young man from another country around and had him go through both the civil and the criminal courts. And after we had seen both courthouses and seen the judges and everything, I asked him what was the most impressive thing that he saw. He said that the fact that we in America have the ability to have our peers judge whether we are guilty of an offense or whether you have done something wrong. In his country, the police did it. They bring you down and charge you and put you in jail. So the fact that you 12 people are here giving Charles Ray Thomas his day in court is a blessed right, which we all have. And the reason we have that is because we don't live in a totalitarian system. We don't live in a place where the police can just come and arrest anybody and put them in jail because they want to. We have the right to come down here and make the state of Texas and make the government prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And that is a blessing. In the court's charge, you will have the opportunity to take this. Go back there and read it. Contained within is what we've discussed a little bit about on voir dire, and that's a reasonable doubt. And I'm going to read this to you. A reasonable doubt is a doubt based on reason and common sense after a careful and impartial consideration of all of the evidence in the case. It's the kind of doubt that would make a reasonable person hesitate to act in the most important of his affairs. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt must therefore be proof of such a convincing character that you would be willing to rely and act upon it without hesitation in the most important of your affairs. In the event that you have a reasonable doubt as to the defendant's guilt, after considering all the evidence before you in these instructions, you will acquit the defendant and say, by your verdict, not guilty. We talked about reasonable doubt. We talked about this big scale of evidence that would be presented to you. A reasonable doubt is over here in this small corner over here. The state of Texas has the burden to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. All this land in here is speculation. I'm not sure if hesitation is in any of your hearts today regarding the case. You must acquit the defendant by your verdict and say not guilty. Okay. Go ahead and start some Q&A. All right, just want to check the time. Okay, so it looks like defense is questioning. I'll start at 180 and work my way to 225, okay? All right, here we go. I'm talking about just the front, the first jolt. Can you describe the motion of your body? Well, I swing towards the right because I hit my head on the window towards the right, on the right side. I'll get to that. Now, in which direction was your head turned at the time of the first impact? This way, towards the right. You were turned. Which way was your face turned? Well, I looked at the car. It was over your left shoulder. It was over my left shoulder. That's when I saw the car coming towards her side. That's when he hit it. And I just turned to the front. And that's when the car hit her. That's when my neck turned towards the right. At the moment of impact, where were you looking? I was looking towards the left side. And that's when I told her, oh, they're going to hit you. She's all, oh no, they're not. She couldn't see towards her left side. When I looked straight, and that's when they rammed and my neck went towards the right. Okay, now, is there anything that attracted your attention to the Jeep before you became aware or you thought that they were going to hit your car? I was talking to her, and that's when I saw it. That's what attracted my attention because he was right next to us, really close. That's what attracted me towards seeing towards the back. And then you turned your head towards the front after she said, no, they're not going to hit us. Yes, I was looking straight at the road. Then your body kind of lunged to the right. Right. Is that fair or did it twist? No, it lunged. Did any portion of your body come in contact with any portion of the interior of the vehicle? At that time, no, I don't recall. You mentioned earlier that your head hit something. Yes, it hit towards like the window. Did it hit the window? Yes, it did. It hit my forehead, side of my head. Do you know if Iris did anything in a turning movement at or about the moment of impact? No, I don't. Do you know if she applied her brakes? No, I don't. Do you know if she accelerated? No. Other than your head hitting the window, did any other part of your body hit any portion of the interior of the vehicle? No. As a result of your head hitting the window, did you notice if any glass was broken? No, I couldn't. Did you receive any cuts? Yes, on my forehead. Did you take any stitches in your forehead? No, I didn't. And do you know what part of the vehicle came in contact with your forehead? No, I cannot say that. So the side of your head hit the window. Is that correct? Correct. But you don't know what hit your forehead. Yes, that is right. I don't know. Now, at the moment of impact, or shortly thereafter, did Iris's vehicle move from the left to the right at all? Yes. Where did she go? We were in the second lane and her car it went from the second to the third to the fourth lane, and it came back up the third, second, first lane. That's when it hit the middle, the center divider. Do you have any estimate of the speed that you were traveling at the time the vehicles collided? No, I don't. Did your vehicle come in contact with any other vehicle other than the Jeep that you've described? No, I can't remember. You recall that your vehicle did come in contact with the divider, is that correct? Correct. What portion of your vehicle came in contact with the divider? I don't recall, it was so fast. Was it in the front of your car or the back of your car? I don't know. But you are sure it hit the divider? Yes, I am. Did your car stop after it hit the divider? No, it turned like 4 times more and it hit again, the middle divider the last time, and that's when it stopped. When it was going from the second to the third to the fourth and back again, did it spin, rotate at all while it was doing that? I don't recall. When it hit the divider, did it spin or rotate after hitting the divider? It rotated. Can you tell me if it turned clockwise or counterclockwise? I don't know. Do you know what clockwise is? Yes, but I don't remember which way it was because did the car spin to your right or to your left? I can't recall. But you're certain that it turned around at least 4 times, is that correct? Yes. Did you count them as it went around? It felt like it was never going to stop. When it did stop, where was the vehicle located? It was like in the emergency lane, and that was to the left of the number 1 lane, is that correct? Right. Correct? Correct. We want to be real careful about using the word right. And which direction was it facing? It was facing eastbound. During the time between the first impact and the time that your car first came to rest, was anything said between you and Iris? I don't recall. What, if anything, did you do when the car first came to rest? I looked at her. That's when I went unconscious. Other than your head striking the window the one time that you've already described, did your head hit anything else in the vehicle? I don't remember. Did you or Iris have anything of an alcoholic nature to drink that evening before? No. The accident? How about any kind of medication? From my point of view, from my side, no. How about her? Do you know? No, I don't. How about any other controlled substances? No. No joints before you hit the road or anything? No. What was your last memory before you fell unconscious? Do you have a visual picture of what you saw? Well, the last thing I remember was just seeing us turn around. And the last thing I remember was seeing her, and that was it. It felt like we were on a roller coaster, but you had to come to a stop at that point. No, that's when we had barely turned our last time and hit the last time. That's when I saw her and I clunked out. Do you know how many times you hit the divider? At least twice. After going unconscious, do you have your first memory? Can you visualize that now as we speak? I don't understand that. Well, what was the first thing that you saw after you were unconscious? I was at the hospital. Where were you? I was at Loma Linda University. Do you have any memory between the time that you were at the scene of the accident in the vehicle until the time that you were in the hospital? No, I don't. As a result of the accident, did you have at any time any symptom of pain or discomfort? No. You've indicated that you bumped your head. Did that hurt you at the time that you bumped your head on the window? Did it hurt? Yeah, yes. That's a symptom of pain. Okay, I'm sorry. And after feeling that sensation, did you have any other sensations of pain or discomfort at any time during the accident? At any time after the impact? After the impact, when I was at the hospital, yes. What did you first sense? I had like a shoulder pain and back pain. My head hurt. What shoulder? It was both shoulders, and I had really bad neck pain from the seatbelt. Okay, do you know that it was the seatbelt that, yes, caused your neck pain? Did you have any cuts, abrasions, burns, or anything? Yes, like that. What did you have? Wait just a second. It's really important that you wait until he's done with his question, and then you give your answer, okay? Okay. Now, what did you have? Well, I had like a burn from the seatbelt. It was probably like 4 inches long, like that big. It went all the way up. What side of your neck was it? It was on the right side. Other than your shoulders, well, let's go back to the shoulders. What did they feel like when you were at the hospital? It burned like someone was cramming them. It was a really bad pain. If we can put on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being so painful that you're going to be unconscious, and 1 being probably an 8. Other than your shoulders and your neck, did anything else hurt? My back. When did you first notice your back hurt? When I barely woke up. When you first woke up, where were you? I was in the emergency room. Were you confined in any way when you first woke up? I don't understand that. Were you in a bed? Were you on a stretcher? Yes. Were you strapped into a wheelchair? No, I was in a bed. Did you stay overnight in the hospital? Yes. When did you leave? That next morning, the next day. About what time? Oh, I don't remember. Other than your shoulders, your neck, and your back, did you have any other symptoms of pain or discomfort while you were in the hospital? Well, my left foot. Tell me about your left foot. It was like a really sharp pain in my left foot. When did you first notice that? At the same time when I woke up. Did you suffer any cuts or abrasions to your left foot? Yes, it was a bruise. Do you know if it came in contact with anything inside the car? No, I don't. When they released you from the hospital, did they give you any instructions? I don't recall. Did they tell you what was wrong with you, if anything? I don't know. They talked to my brother. I'm not sure what they told him. Other than looking at you and touching you and all that sort of thing, did they do anything else for you? No. Did they give you any medication? Yes. Did they give you some kind of medication to take home with you? Yes, some pain medicine. Do you know what it was? No, I don't. After leaving the hospital, did you go to another healthcare provider? Yes, that's when, no. Right after? No. At any time. Oh, yes, I went to a chiropractor. When? A day or 2 after. Who did you go see? Stone Chiropractor. Where are they located? In the city of Fontana. Have you ever been there before? No. Anything else about your family? Had your family been there before? No. How did you find out about them? I contacted my lawyer. When you first went to Stone Chiropractor, did you see Stone? Yes. And what, if anything, happened at the first visit? Well, they did a complete examination. Had you ever been examined by a chiropractor before? Yes. When did that happen? Just for a regular physical for sports. What I'm trying to determine is how you know this was complete. Would you know if anything was left out? Because that's what they do. I've gotten one of those before, like to get a permit to play sports. What sports did you play in high school? Soccer. Anything else? Basketball. Do you know if they took any x-rays of you at the hospital? At the hospital, yes, they did. What part of your body? Everything. And how about the chiropractor? Did he take any x-rays too? Yes. Same parts of your body? I don't recall the whole body, but yes, he did take some x-rays. On the first visit to the chiropractor, did you have any symptoms of pain or discomfort? Yes. Where did you hurt? Everywhere, the neck, the shoulders, my back, and it was my foot. Did you start any treatments with a chiropractor? Yes. How often did you go when you first started? Every day of the week. And did that frequency change at any time? Yes, it was like 2 months later. So you went every day for 2 months? Yes. Did that include Saturdays and Sundays? No, not on Saturdays and Sundays. That was straight for a 2-week period for 2 months or 2-month period? Yes. Can you tell me if the treatment was substantially the same each time you visited? Pretty much so, yes. What did they do? They would lay me down on the bed and put electric shocks on my back with the heating pad, and they would like crack my bones or stretch me. Excuse me? Crack my bones and stretch me. Did you actually hear things crack? Yes. Where did you hear? Not towards the beginning, no. They started it real light because I was like in really, really bad pain. They started cracking my bones like 3 months into it. In that first month or 2-month period, they put you on the table every time you visited? Yes. Did this table vibrate or move at all? No. Did they put electrodes up on you? Yes. And give you a little pulse there? Yes. Did they do that every time you visited? Yes. Did they do anything else every time you visited? And the heating pads? Okay, anything else? And they would like stretch me out, but they wouldn't crack my bones. Did they massage you? No. Did they do what they call ultrasound? No. Did they ever tell you they were going to do ultrasound? No, I don't remember. So it's fair to say then each time you visited, you got the electric stimulation, the heating pad, and a stretching, right? Anything else that they did at any time in that first 2-month period? No. Did you feel that at any point in time that this treatment was doing you any good? Yes. When did you first notice that? When my pain started going away? How soon after starting the treatment did you notice that? Probably like into my 3rd month. Okay, after the first 2 months, did you feel the same as the first day you went in? Yes. Did your frequency change after the 2 months? Yes. To what? To moderate pain. No, the frequency is the number of times per week. Okay, it was 3 times per week. When it changed from 5 days a week to 3 times a week, did you feel about the same that you did when you first went in? No. Did you feel better? Yes. How about your shoulders? Did the pain in your shoulders decrease? Yes. Your pain in your back, did that increase? Slightly. How about your foot pain? It was still there. Did any doctor or healthcare provider prescribe you for any orthopedic device such as a cane or a crutches, sling, cast, wheelchair, or anything like that? No, not that I recall. Did they give you any collars to wear, anything like that? No. When you were going 3 days a week, what did they do to you at each visit, or did they do anything at all? Did they change at all from what they did the first 2 months? Yes, they did. Okay, what was the change? Well, my pain started getting to moderate pain. So no, what I'm asking you is, did the treatment change? You told me they gave you electric stimulation, heating pad, and stretching. Did they add anything or take any of that treatment away from you when you went from 5 to 3 days? Oh, they added the cracking. They cracked my bones. Okay, we're going to stop there and switch transcripts. Okay. And that was 225, and some of it was even faster than 225. Okay. Okay. How are we doing on time? Good, we're doing fine. All right. All right, let's do this one. This is a court case. We've already started it, so pick up where we left off. All right, looks like plaintiff is questioning. Here we go. Detective Gonzalez, when you arrived on the scene, you said you got dispatched at about 9. You got there about 3.5 hours later. I think it was just over 3 hours. Okay, when you first arrived there, what did you do? I received a briefing by Deputy Doherty on basically what had happened at the scene. I was also given information about, the most obvious was, again, the bodies, and then the Toyota vehicle that was further up the road. Okay, you indicated that you began your search at 1:30 or 2:30 in the morning. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Okay, now what area were you searching from 1:30 or 2:30 in the morning until daylight? Well, until 2:30, around 2 to about 3 a.m., it was in the primary area where the bodies were located. And then we just expanded from that back towards Holleran Springs Road. Okay, you indicated on cross-examination that you searched the larger area extending from Holleran Springs Road west to the bodies, approximately 264 feet, and then another 100 feet beyond that during the daylight hours. Is that correct? Yes, I did. Okay, what was your reason for waiting until daylight to search the area? Because it's a lot easier during the daylight versus your flashlight because you're playing with shadows out there and dips and rocks and the brush. It was just easier to see during the daylight hours. And after the daylight hours, did you again search the area in the immediate vicinity of the bodies? I believe that would be the red circled area on Exhibit 26. That's west of Holleran Springs Road. Yes. Did you find anything new during the daylight hours that you had not discovered there at night? No. Did you describe that area, the area immediately around the bodies, as being a lowered area? Yes. Okay, can you tell us, relatively speaking, how much lower that was than the vicinity that you're comparing it to? I thought it was 3 or 4 feet. And how large is that depressed area? I'm going to say about 200. And if I take it up to where the bodies are located, 264 feet by well over 100 feet, maybe closer to 200 feet. If you were traveling along Holleran Springs Road and you turned off into that lowered area at night when you couldn't see the entire area, would it appear as if you were driving into a ditch? No. And you said that the area where the Toyota was located was termed to be separate from the crime scene area, or it was not part of the crime scene. Which one was it? Yes. Okay, now can you tell us why did you have the evidence at that area collected? Well, we collected the vehicle at the cartridge, the beer bottle, basically because it was there. And if something did not turn up in the case in the days following, at least we can go back to the vehicle and look into it in more depth than we did then. We could find out if it was in fact involved or not involved at all. At least we had it to fall back on. Turned out in this case, we didn't have to do that. Okay, you also indicated that prints would not have been found on that fired cartridge casing. Why did you come to that conclusion? Well, if you take a look at the expended cartridge, my memories of it back in 2012, it was dusty. It looked like it had been run over. It was scratched up, it was old, and it was basically, weather beaten. It had been out there for who knows, I don't know how long, but for some time. Okay, and with regard to the bullet that was found at marker number 3, is there a reason why you did not request that it be examined for blood and tissue? Because if I put in a request, they are not going to automatically examine it. They are going to ask, is this thing ready for trial? Is this thing going to court? My answer back would have been no, that it's a lower priority. They give it basically a priority 3. They have priority 1 cases that are going to trial, and they will work on those cases first. So that's why it wasn't done. At the time that you located that, did you think it was important to examine it for blood stains or tissue? No, because it's not the proper setting to do it there. You collect it, you preserve it, and it can be done later. With regard to the analysis of the blood that was in the soil, why is it that it was not requested? Again, I'm not sure that if a request was not put in, I may have to check some of the reports. I want to say something was done with that blood in the soil. That's a possibility. Now, on a cross-examination, you indicated that there was a good indication to you that stains at that location and the other stains on the rocks were blood. Can you tell us what that good indication was? Well, I think it goes back to your experience. It goes back to when you have 2 bodies out there. You have 2 bodies that have been shot. You have a bullet and you have what I thought was blood on a rock. To me, blood is blood. I have never seen anything else look differently at a crime scene. It looked like blood to me. I have a bullet next to it. I have 2 bodies over there. It was blood. Okay, and you concluded that the blood and the bullet that was located there was tied in to those bodies? Yes. Why did you come to that conclusion? Because I didn't see any rust on a lead bullet. It didn't look like it was weather beaten. And the blood, it didn't look like it was real old. When I say real old, I mean months that had passed. I just thought it was closely related to the time that those bodies were there. And when defense counsel asked you if the reason why you came to the conclusion that the stain on the rock and the stains in the soil were human blood was based on the defendant's statement, I believe that you said no, Was there something else that led you to believe that it was human blood? Well, I think just what I had answered just a little bit earlier here, again, going back to the bodies, going back to the gunshot wounds, going back to the bullet in the sand and the blood on the rock, that was the only indication that I felt that led me to believe that it was blood. And you said that you have an opinion with regard to where the victims may have been shot or whether or not they were shot at the scene. Yes. What is that opinion? Well, we found no spent cartridge casings at the scene. And at that time, I thought the bullet was at least a 38 caliber or a 9mm caliber. We had no casings at the scene, which made me believe that they were shot somewhere else and transported there. In your experience as a homicide investigator, have you seen other victims who have been shot in the head and moved from one location to another location? Oh yes, 30 or 40 times at least. And in those investigations, have you seen other occasions when there would be an accumulation of blood in one particular area when the body is moved from a different location? Can you repeat that again, please? In your investigation, we are talking about cases where people are shot in the head. Have you seen cases where blood would be accumulated in one area that's away from the area where the persons are actually shot? Yes. How do you account for that? Well, let's see if I understand your question fully. You have a gunshot wound to the head. Every case that I work with a gunshot wound to the head, you're going to have what they call pooling of the blood around the head. Those blood spots in the soil were not pooling, and that's another reason why I didn't think they were shot there and they were moved. That's not pooling. Okay, what is pooling? Well, pooling is basically when you have an open wound, a gunshot wound, it would be an entry, it could be an exit wound, and basically when the body comes to rest, the blood is just coming out of the wound onto the ground, the soil, or the floor, or what have you, and it leaves a pooling, a big pooling of the blood. It could be 12 or 15 inches in diameter or larger, in that area. You also indicated that at that location, you thought that the bullet may have been dropped from one of the bodies. Yes. Is there something that you've experienced that would lead you to that conclusion? Yes. Could you tell us what that is? I've seen numerous times before where you have the bullet and the only thing that is holding it in is maybe the skin tissue. I've seen bullets at autopsies where the bullet is half hanging out of the skin and maybe the bottom portion of the bullet is on the interior of the body. And I've been to scenes where the bullets have dropped out of the bodies. Have you ever seen a case where a bullet went through a person, whether it be in the head or any other part of the body, hit an object and then bounced back into the clothing? I would object on the grounds of relevance unless there is some foundation laid. Objection is overruled. You may answer if you know. Sure, I've seen that before where we have a live bullet, an expanded or fired bullet or fragment. With regard to the transportation of the bodies from the scene where they're located, what kind of vehicle is used? Normally, I've seen a van that normally arrives. I think I've seen a Blazer before, but normally a van. In this particular case, do you remember what type of vehicle it was? No, I do not. Do you know whether it was a four-wheel drive or what? It was not a four-wheel drive vehicle. You said that when you were working a crime scene with a forensic technician, basically they know what to do. They know the photographs that you want to have taken. In this particular case, there were photographs that you specifically asked for to have taken because besides the general overall photographs that the technician is taking, the only one that I remembered is I asked Randy if he thought he could photograph the drag marks and bring them up because it was difficult on our own just looking at them with a flashlight. And he said that he would try, and he did. Okay, are the drag marks one of the areas that you checked in the daylight? Yes. Okay, so at night under the flashlight, you said that they were hard to see? Yes. What about during the day? Daylight, you could see them better. Okay, and with regard to the sequence of taking photographs and the collection of evidence, can you describe for us what took place? Well, the photographs were always taken first, and the measurements are taken second, and then the items are collected. Do you know at what point in time the collection of the evidence actually started? No, I do not. All right. Let's see here. All right. Do you want to do like a one-time run through of a read back?
Sure.
Yeah, we could do that. Okay. see. Let me see here. That's not the one I want. Okay, yep, here it is. All right, this is going to be plaintiff, and I'll read this at 2:25, okay? All right, here we go. What did the doctor do for you? He gave me a shot for the pain I had. Did you go to sleep? I don't believe so. What do you next remember happening to you in the hospital? Then they wheeled me into the emergency room. Was some work done on your face at that time? Yes, sir. Were you unconscious when the work was done to your face? Yes, I was. Were you given another shot, or was it the original shot that made you unconscious? Another shot. So you actually don't know what was done to you in the emergency room? No. When was the first time you were actually able to observe your appearance? Probably the next day. Did you sleep through that whole night? To the best of my knowledge. And the next day you woke up and you were in the hospital? Yes. Now at that time, were you able to observe what your injuries were? Well, I had a large bandage and I was able to feel sutures on my face. Do you know how many sutures were placed in your upper lip? No, I do not. Did you feel or observe any other injury other than the pain that you had by your lip? Well, I had a shoulder. It hurt on my left shoulder and I was bruised. Did you see any bruises? I can't remember for sure. Did you have any bandages on any other part of your body? No. Okay. All right. So if you want, we can each take a Q and an A. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So I'll take the first one. Okay. Do you already have your spot?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. Question: what did the doctor do for you? Answer: he gave me a shot for the pain I had.
Question: did you go to sleep? Answer: I don't believe so.
Awesome. Question: what do you next remember happening to you in the hospital? Answer: then they wheeled me into the emergency room.
Question: was some work done on your face at that time? Answer: yes, sir.
Yep. Question: were you unconscious when the work was done to your face? Answer: yes, I was.
Question: were you given another shot, or was it the original shot that made you unconscious? Answer: another shot.
Question: so you actually don't know what was done to you in the emergency room? Answer: no.
Question: when was the first time you were actually able to observe your appearance? Answer: probably the next day.
Question: did you sleep through that whole night? Answer: to the best of my knowledge.
Question: and the next day you woke up and you were in the hospital? Answer: yes.
Question: now at that time, were you able to observe what your injuries were? Answer: well, I had a large bandage and I was able to feel sutures on my face.
Question: do you know how many sutures were placed in your upper lip? Answer: no, I do not.
Question: did you feel or observe any other injury other than the pain that you had by your lip? Answer: well, I had a shoulder. It hurt on my left shoulder and I was bruised.
Question: did you see the bruises? I don't think it's the.
That's okay. Any? Do you have any?
Any, okay. Did you see any bruises? Answer: I don't. I can't remember for sure.
question. Did you have any bandages on any other part of your body? Answer, no. Great job.
Not bad. I did better on all the questions and answers that you read, actually.
Typical. Of course. Of course.
Not that I did bad on the ones I read,
No,
I don't think. But.
Yeah, no, you did fine there too.
All right.
Well,
All right.
thank you for allowing me to have class an hour early.
Oh, no problem. Have fun at your fun appointment.
Yes. Love
By the way, Chelsea popped in like right before 7 or 5 o'clock. So she might not have known, but she like popped in and then she left. So you were in the middle of reading, just so you know.
Yeah, I'll have to let's see if she yeah, no, she didn't text me, so I'll have to let her know. Darn it. I didn't even think about Chelsea. I'll have to let her know.
All right. Well, thank you.
You are so welcome. Have a great night, and then I'll see you Friday morning.
Yes,
okay.
I will see you then.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.